Hello everyone, I'm Christian. I'm here with my friend Mariana. We're gonna make a little debate about this topic of legalization of prostitution, this topic of selling sexual services and all that. This is just a brief debate. You can have your opinion. We are just gonna talk about it, exhibit some points of it. I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna defend the legalization and she's gonna go against, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hello, good morning, Christian. Our topic is prostitution will be legal, and I am against. Why? Well, why should prostitution not be legal? Because that's the idea that legalize or discriminates that like a profession, like prostitution, and convert sex like more commercial is an idea that had the people that it will reduce the crimes, it will reduce I don't know, the harm like traumas, and it is a myth. Why? Because in many countries like Holanda that have this profession legal, the many studies or research suggest that sexual commercial or sexual or commercial sex, the experience is not good because it increase if increase like human traffic, pimping, and other related crimes that cause so much trauma or involve so much trauma and harm for the people, and that is the reason that it cannot be seen as a conventional business.
I think this question of human traffic could be solved if other parts of the world make prostitution legal, because then it will be more regulated, this case of, like, easier to regulate these cases of human traffic. That's my point about it.
And it will be controlled because most of the prostitution of all the countries denunciate or are demonstrating that prostitution is inherently violent and abusive, because the people or the person who have this service think that think that I am going to pay for this service, and I can do everything that I want, and I can't violent, I can hit the people or the woman, I can be violent with this woman or people who are transgender.
Well, my argument lies in the fact that if we legalize prostitution as a normal business, the people that work in this area would be able to receive more protection from authorities. They would be able to receive better laboral conditions because they are protected by police, by laws. There would be better sanitary conditions, better work conditions, salaries, and a regulation from authorities that protects them from this kind of abuse that they tend to suffer.
Well, I see your point, but the legalization of the prostitution and the sex industry promotes sex traffic. It will be legal, it will be safe. The police have to press attention to that people that are making this a profession. But legalize this industry is one of the key that cause traffic women, and it is a purpose of sexual exploitation. Most of the cases are in a shade, are in a are hide of the police, or the police see that and ignore that cases. Uh,
Something that I want to add is what happens to people who have cases on the police and are being ignored simple because of their profession or their job or their work or being transgender. The police put them aside or ignore them.
Well, in this case, we have to take into account that being an illegal process, this of prostitution being a legal business, police and authorities, like legal organizations, don't have enough access to the things that are happening here. If we take into account this, we can say also that in the case that prostitution becomes legal, these people will have better information, deeper information about these things, so they can manage in a better way the more places and more people. Well, we also have to take into account that the business of trafficking with people, this crime, is not only about prostitution in brothels that they exhibit the people that they take as prostitutes in a local that where people like get to there and get them like seeing them there and all that. There will also be other ways to traffic with people, and of course it will be harder to stop, but if we legalize prostitution, we at least can take a control from of the people that is in this kind of sites, in this kind of places.
well, I like to focus in other point that will be according to from many sources, from police and official organizations. 90% of women who practice prostitution in Spain is exploited by pimps or mafias that keep them slave by treats. One method that they use is a person who offers to bring them a Spain to work. They promise a better future and things like that. And the other part is not considering that, because legalize will not make safer for these people that are now are enslaved for these mafias.
Well, my current answer to that is related to the last one that I did. Because when you legalize something, it means that government has more control over it. Well, if we have this case of people that is controlled by mafia, by different crime organizations, we could also say that if it's legal, you can limit, you can put a limit to the money that they gain with this, and also you could keep a better following of these groups with police. Well, what I mean is that the motivation that these groups have to get into the business of prostitution is the amount of money that they can get. So if it is legal, it means that there will be many other places that would would work as competence of these other mafias. So the price should be reduced. This would demotivate them, and this would make easier the following of these groups by the authorities. Well, my second point lies on the taboo of prostitution or sexual life as something that is not meant to be a business or it's not a service that someone's like willing to do. The first point we have to take into account to this is that prostitution is not something new at all. It's actually a historic practice, because we have, according to researchers and history, the old Greeks practiced prostitution in their society. They had their company women, and some of them even were kind of free. They had even more liberty than other members of the Greek society. This is meant to be a proof that maybe we are so used to that, and maybe it is a practice that is part of our society now, and it's not something that is like is necessarily bad, something that has to be bad. Maybe it is something too common in our society, and we should um, learn to live with that. And legalizing it would be like a part of being something that we have done for years, for centuries. It would be something like better for the people that practice it if we legalize it.
I understand your point, but I want to say that my point is why normalize denigrating women? Why do we have to accept and let forced labor be part of our society? Why why this want to be normal in our society? I can accept that.
Is that when we talk about prostitution, we are not necessarily talking about denigration, because there are many people that do it because they want to do it, and not only women, there are also men that sell this kind of services. So it could be something respectable. It's not necessarily something bad. So of course, and if we have done it for that much time, it makes it even more normal that maybe we are looking at it now in this moment of history.
Well, something that I have to take to account is prostitution is not, as many men has invented to justify themselves, is the oldest profession in the world, but is a form of exploitation. It's a form of exploitation and a gender violence that's invented to have like a sexual service for that some money. Sexual service of men, and that should be abolished. And I have a question. What prostitute women have to endure is equivalent to what in other context will correspond to accept the definition of sexual harassment and abuse? And can the fact that amount of the money is paid transform that abuse into a job, like a profession, which is to be called commercial sex work? I can understand that, because the woman is always like abuse, is always suffer violence from women.
Well, at this point we have to make a comparison between what is harassment or abuse, what is violence, and prostitution itself. When we talk about prostitution, we're talking about someone that sells sexual services that don't need to be aggressive with this person. And also, if we compare this case to other cases um, that are considered as abuse, we can also say that these cases are like that because they don't have the right rules over there, because they are managed under the side of the law. For example, we compare it to some work rules that some enterprises have, and in the cases of countries like North Korea, that they have a lot of forms of work that are considered abuse, it is because they don't have the right rules over them. And also we can apply this to the concept of sexual work, because if we legalize it, it means that the government has more to do with these people, and this means that they would have better protection, a higher range of protection from the authorities. Well, and the final reason why I planned that prostitution should become legal is the security of the people that work in this kind of environment. Because if we consider that these people are making something illegal, it is harder for them to find attention. For example, in the case of sexual life, we have a lot of issues like sicknesses like AIDS, like um, sanity problems that could be really problematic for someone that is trying to find attention for this, but as they are doing something illegal, they get limited or they get afraid to look for attention. Also, we have a lot of abuse that is not related with the fact that it is prostitution, but is related to the fact that it's not well managed, as I spoke before. And in these cases would all have a better solution if we stop stigmatizing these people and focusing on the problem that it is that this case is not well managed. It doesn't have to strictly be a taboo, and this is also taking a lots of lives and making the people that is doing it maybe because of necessity be in worse conditions to work properly and do it properly.
Well, I understand your point, but in disagreement, that this work or job will be legal does not mean that the people who are in this job have health protection, have the adequate condition to continue working. It will not prevent violence and murders and sexual illnesses to which they are exposed. Who can give them that guarantee? Who can give them protection? Who can give them health or the security to have a formal work?